One of the first TED commandments is that we have to share an idea that will change the world. I don't know if I can quite do that, but today I'd like to talk about my story. My story may not change the world, but it has changed the world around me. When I was a student here at Mission San Jose from 2010 to 2013, I didn't quite understand my own story or the power of it. Oftentimes as teenagers, we just kind of go with the flow without asking much questions about why we do or may not do certain things. You do things because your parents want you to do them, or sometimes you don't do things because your parents want you to do them. For me, it wasn't until the summer of 2012 when I visited my parents' homeland of Libya for the first time did I finally put my story into context. My father was born and raised in Libya and came to America in the 1970s for his college education. He visited one more time after that, but came back to a country that was corrupted with Gaddafi's violence and terror tactics. He decided to oppose this iron-fisted regime and never went back to his homeland for over 35 years. He went back for the first time during 2011's uprising against Gaddafi, and he decided to send my siblings and I the following year. In Libya, I saw a country strife with post-revolution destruction and a people who had nothing but hope. Hope for democracy, hope for education, and hope for freedom. Things that I already had back in America. I compared myself to my many cousins. The schools were closed and there were no jobs available to the youth. They knew nothing but the war-torn streets of Benghazi, Libya. They looked like me, they had the same skin tone as me, and they shared the same North African features that I never quite understood growing up in Fremont, California. I could have easily been any one of them, but I wasn't. I had privilege and I had opportunity. Opportunity that I was taking for granted here in America. This is the first time I ever thought about my story and where it began. Everyone has a very rich, very diverse story on their shoulders, and how we make sense of each one of our stories is how we'll find our inspiration. I was in America for a reason. I represented something. I represented every single person in Libya fighting for their lives for the same privilege that I had. The start of my story was that I was the son of North African immigrants who found hope in America and its opportunities. I was squandering those opportunities. I was a mediocre student with a bad attitude and a lackluster work ethic as a teenager going to Mission San Jose. After the trip to Libya, I came back to my senior year of high school, motivated to stop taking my education for granted and turn things around. But after going through the college application process, I was rejected from every single college I applied to because of my previous academic record. Community college would have to be the only option. I was disappointed, I was lost, and I kind of just skated by for those last few months of high school. My story continued, but I was forgetting the importance of it. My motivation was wearing off as time went on. But on the day of my high school graduation, as I was about to walk the stage, a fellow classmate went up to me and he was like, "Idris, how the heck are you graduating?" That statement made me reevaluate my story once more, but this time with much more fire. I reflected on that statement for a while. My classmate might have been joking, but for some reason, it really resonated with me. Is that really what people perceive me as? The kid who barely graduates high school and goes to community college? That's definitely not what my parents immigrated to America for. My story once again ignited a fire within me, but this time it wasn't just motivation. I was inspired. Motivation keeps you going in spurts, but inspiration keeps you going through any adversity. I started summer session at Anza College a few days after my high school graduation. I didn't have a car, but I was determined to go to Anza because its abundance of resources for transferring and sending kids to the top universities. I took 6 buses a day, every day during my first year at Anza. I got the first 4.0 in my life in that first summer session at Anza, and that set the precedent for the ensuing 2 years. I got involved on campus as a student body senator, something I would have never done in high school. I interned at the Vice Mayor of San Jose's office, and I continued to excel academically. The more I began to achieve, the more I was inspired by my own story. Nothing could stop me from accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish in community college. I got 8 straight quarters of 4.0s. I worked at NASA as a finance intern full-time, and I went through the college application once again. The result was different this time. I got accepted to some of the top universities all across the United States. I decided to transfer to the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley on a scholarship, which leads me to where I am today. I finished my junior year at Berkeley. I'll be moving to New York next week, starting an internship, and I'll be participating in a summer program at Harvard. When I was a 16-year-old visiting my parents' homeland for the first time, I could have never envisioned this is where my 20-year-old self would be. The last thing I would have expected myself to be doing is to be giving a TEDx talk at my old high school. My story has changed my life, and all I had to do was find it. I'm a business major, so I like to put things in a business perspective. I think of myself as a firm, and my story as my mission statement. My story is the driving force behind any and all of my success. This is the idea that my story is evolving, and it will continue to evolve as I evolve. How I perceive my story and how I make sense of it is what will make all the difference as I continue my journey to leadership. Currently, I'm a Muslim American, a son of North African immigrants, and a UC Berkeley student who transferred from community college. I aspire to challenge the misconceptions of these identities through the things I achieve, the positivity I exude, and the love I spread. This is my story, and it inspires me every single day. Understanding my story stemmed from something small, but it has made a big impact on my life, my future, and my world. So what's your story? Because your story may not change the world, but it can change your world. Thank you.